I hope everyone watching this video had a great Christmas, and I hope they have a blessed New Year. Now let's get started. ESPN posted another top 25 players list. Oddly enough, I was working on a top 10 players video that was going to be out sometime in January. I'm debating on extending it to 20 players. Let me know in the comments if you would want that. I decided to react to this because it would be a simple video to fill in before the freshman analysis video. That should be out on New Year's Eve. This would be a long time in between uploads, so this is something to fill in the time. I'm not going to go over every player because it would spoil the list I have, but I'll go over some players that are in weird spots. I'll also talk about some placements I think are completely fine. There's way more than 25 really good players in women's basketball right now, which means there's a lot of players you could argue should be on here, like Chloe Kitts, Rhea Marshall, Lauren Gustin, or whoever else you want to name, and it would be valid. I don't really fault ESPN for that because, by default, someone has to get left out. There's just not enough spots. But here's my biggest issue with ESPN. It definitely feels like the popularity of players affects the rankings, and they will favor a more popular player over another, even if it doesn't make sense. The easiest way to explain this is through examples. Michaela Williams is at number 20. Is there a problem with that? No, not at all. She's definitely a top 25 player, but how the heck is Talia Scott not in the top 25 when they are neck and neck in the SEC Freshman of the Year race? Somebody please explain how Anissa Morrow, who is averaging 18 points, 10 rebounds on 48% shooting, is a top 10 player, but Kiki Iriafen, who is averaging 17 points, 10 rebounds on 59% shooting, isn't even in the top 25. Kiki is averaging 6 less minutes than Anissa, and Stanford has played a harder schedule. I don't know if this is to prop up Cameron Brink's Player of the Year case by implying Stanford is a one-person team or what, but there's no way Kiki is not a top 25 player this year. Just go look at what she did to Florida State or Indiana. I know I just grilled ESPN, but there's one thing I'll defend them on. I don't think Pow Pow being ranked 21 is that bad. It sounds disrespectful when you first hear it, but most of the players ranked over her aren't crazy. It's debatable, but saying players like JC Sheldon and Michaela Williams are better isn't unfair. I also like that they listed Juju as a top 5 player. Sometimes you can tell people are different, even in their freshman year. Juju is one of those people. Paige Beckers is a weird case. For some reason, most people acknowledged that she was one of the best players even early in her freshman year. But with other players, people are just a lot more resistant to it. It might sound crazy now, but even Caitlin Clark was downplayed her freshman year. The mental gymnastics people were doing to downplay her performances were crazy. And now Hidalgo is going through the same thing. If she was the #1 recruit or wasn't a freshman, there's no way there would be 9 players listed over her. She's 4th in points per game, 3rd in defensive rating, 1st in steals, 12th in player efficiency rating. But don't even look at the stats. Just watch any Notre Dame game and say with a straight face you've seen someone play like that. I think the argument that we need to see more of Hidalgo and Juju is valid, but you could say that about non-freshmen too. We never seen Rory Harmon average a 7 assist to 1 turnover ratio. We never seen Caitlin Clark average over 30 points per game. We never seen Peely shoot 70% from the field. If it applies to Juju and Hidalgo in terms of their stats, it applies to everyone else too. I don't get ESPN's obsession with Virginia Tech. They had Kitley at number 6 in the preseason, and now they vaulted Georgia A. Moore to number 9. Georgia is a great player, and Kitley is too, but stuff like this is why people question ESPN's intentions. Georgia averages 17 points per game, but this is on an average of 15 shot attempts and 8 3-point field goal attempts. What do you think Pow Pow or Michaela Williams would average with a volume like that? I would bet money. The next player ranking they do, which I believe is right before the tournament, Georgia will get dropped several spots like Kitley did, but then they will place Kitley back in the top 10 again. She's an excellent passer as she has one of the highest turnovers to assist ratios in the nation, but she plays no defense. Caitlin Clark, who people act like is the worst defender ever, has a better defensive rating. So what does that say about Georgia's defense? She's a great player, but top 10 is nuts, especially over people like Angel Reese and Lauren Betts, What are we doing? It doesn't seem like ESPN is a big fan of Ayoka Lee. The last season she played, she was a second-team All-American, but she didn't make the preseason top 25 list. Right now she's averaging 20-8 in only 25 minutes, but they still have several post players ranked over her. I don't know what she has to do. But I'll end on something positive. I do like how Tania Latson is getting more respect. She is really underrated, so it's cool to see her get some props. How do you feel about ESPN's top 25 list? As always, thanks for watching.